My name's Harriet Covington. I've been a part of the church for over 50 years. Some of the things I've done is worked in the women of the church, taught Sunday school, various other things, worked with the youth, lots of other things.
How were you baptized?
When I was an infant, and I don't remember it.
Okay. I think they used to do the sprinkle.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right, yes.
Can you tell me about your youth and what kind of activities that you've done?
When I was a youth in our church, I grew up in South Carolina, and it was a small church, even smaller than this one membership-wise. And a lot of things we did, we had youth meeting every Sunday night. We had some kind of program or a Bible study that we were participating in. And for our fun things, we just usually went to somebody's house and had something which is really strange for you. We had, a lot of time we had pound parties, and if you brought grapes, you brought a pound of grapes, or if you brought whatever you brought for a snack, you brought a pound. And we also had tacky parties where we'd dress up, with all kinds of weird stuff. And that probably sounds crazy today, but this was before TV, before video games, before a lot of the things that you guys have to do. And so we probably did some strange things compared to what you have today.
So did you do any bowling alley movies?
Not really. I can remember one of the things we did some of that, but there really wasn't a bowling alley close. There was a movie in town. I lived outside a little town about the size of what Mebane used to be before all this building boom. And we did have a movie theater, but we didn't have access to cars and driving and that sort of thing. Even though I got my license when I was 14, it was legal in South Carolina, so I've been driving all my life. But we didn't have gasoline, and I came along. I was born after the recession, which you've heard about in history, I'm sure, but just prior to World War II. And during World War II, a lot of things were rationed. Gas was one of them. You couldn't get but a certain amount of gallon of gas a week, and there were a lot of foods and things that were rationed also. So we didn't do a lot of that stuff. We did go to church retreats at other churches sometimes, and I remember going as a youth. We went to the Billy Graham concert, crusade in Charlotte. That's one of the big things that I remember doing, but we didn't do a lot. We just pretty much went to somebody's house and just visited around and that kind of thing.
All right. Can you tell me about teaching Sunday school and how long you did that?
I've been teaching Sunday school for a long time. I'm teaching adults right now, but in the past I have taught children. I have taught youth since probably back even when I was in college. I helped with Vacation Bible School at my church. I didn't teach on a regular basis because I wasn't home on a regular basis. But I guess probably I've taught Sunday school most of the time since around 1959. Give or take a little bit. Maybe there'd be a few years there when I wouldn't be teaching. But right now I'm teaching adults, and they're pretty much, for the most part, some of them are not senior adults, but for the most part, most of them are senior adults. And they're very faithful. They come every Sunday. They rain, shine, whatever. They're here. Mm-hmm. So
that includes Bennie and Billy and all that?
Well, Bill's in there. Bennie's not, but Bill is. And the oldest one is his sister, Motley, who is 94. No, she's not the oldest one. Alva Freshwater's in there, and she's 99. And she comes every Sunday, even rainy, snowy, whatever. She's here. They're very faithful.
I'm sorry, I have questions on here, just to make sure.
Okay.
When did you meet your husband?
I met my husband here at this church. He was a member of this church and had been in this church all his life. And he was in the choir, and I joined the choir. And I guess that's where I met him, was in the choir.
Yeah, he played organ?
He did.
Mm-hmm.
He played organ, he played piano, and he liked music, and I liked music, and we got along real well with that. So.
Can you get into the Civitans and who started that, when it happened?
Civitan was started in Hawfields in 1965. May of 1965, when the club was chartered. So our club now is I think it's 52 years old. I hadn't figured that up, but I think that was what we did this year. Celebrated our 52nd birthday. It started as an all-male club because at that time the international organization was all-male. And in 1974, the International Convention, they opted to open the membership to female members, anybody 18 years old and older of good character that wanted to be a part of the Civitan Club. This particular club did not become co-ed until 1979, so they were about 5 years after the International went. And I joined Civitan in January of 1980. So I've been in Civitan for a long, long time. And I've enjoyed being a part of it. Who started here? I'm not positive who started here. There are not many charter members left. There are 1 or 2 or 3 charter members. Bob Webster, the late Bob Webster, was a member. There were several other people in the church that were members, but the only ones left that I know now are Johnny Williams, who's not a member of our church, Bill Tate, and Bill Covington. They're the only 3 charter members that I know of. But who was instrumental in starting it, I'm not positive because I wasn't in the beginning of it. Been around for a long time, and we've had our ups and downs. We're now at about 40 some members, maybe 41 or 42. We've been down to 30 and back up. So it's kind of like everything else. Membership fluctuates, or somebody might be a member, they might move away. Thankfully, we've only lost 1 to death, which is a good thing. And we've got quite a few young members in there. I'm the oldest member in terms of years, and the oldest member in terms of how long I've been a member. So I'm the oldest member, period, in there now.
That's something to say.
I reckon that's something. I don't know whether it is or not. And at this point in time, there's some of the things I cannot do. So I do the things I can do, and the things I cannot do, I don't worry about them. Okay, the baseball field was the first thing at the park. And they leased the land from the church. We're on a lease. We pay $10 a year to the church for a lease. And every 5 years, that lease is renegotiated by the session of the church to make sure that it's okay to redo it. And any improvements or anything we do, pretty much, if it's a structural change, we have to present that to the session. Like if we want to, do something major there. The ball field was built in 1975. And my husband Neil was on the ball field committee. They had different committees. He was on the ball field committee. And at the time, that was cornfield. I don't remember who the field belonged to or who was raising corn. It belonged to the church, but I'm not sure who was raising corn on the field. But anyway, it was cornfield, believe it or not. And I think maybe we had our first ball team maybe in 1976. We only had 1 ball team to start.
And this was softball?
It was baseball. And now we have baseball and softball and football. So we've changed a lot through the years. But we started out with this at 1 team. The shelter was built in 1977. And the dedication took place on May the 15th of 1977. And there were 4, 5, or 6 people on that committee. I was not on that committee. The committee that, for building it. The original building, which I have pictures that I'm going to show you, was pretty much like a open shelter. It had the high rafters at the top, the open rafters, and it was not closed in. It had a closed-in kitchen, and it did have a storage area. No bathroom, and that was it. We had bathrooms at the park for the ball field, but we didn't have a bathroom there. And one long after that, after it was dedicated, people kept saying, well, it's a shame that this can't be used year-round for something. And Civitan needed a place to meet, because they had met at a restaurant over here that's on the other side, right across from Love's Truck Stop now, called Bryant Steakhouse. Been many, many moons ago. It's been gone. and that had closed, and they needed a place to meet. And people kept saying, we have nowhere to do a family picnic or a family reunion or anything. And so the Civitan began to think about how we could make it more usable year-round. And so we closed it in. And later on, it still had the high ceilings and the high rafters. It was hard to heat, but we had some heat in there. We had to put gas logs in the fireplace, and then we put some gas heat in. And then later on, we decided to lower the ceiling, so we lowered all that, and the Civitan did all the work. We had the lumber sawed at Sykes Sawmill, which is over on Sykes Road, or was on Sykes Road at the time. And then the guys in the club did all the work, put it up. And through the years, we've done a lot of extra improvements to it. We recently just painted inside, not all the paneling, but painted the bathroom doors and things. And we also put in a new heating system, and we got natural gas, so we can heat it, and we have a good air conditioning system. So now it can be used year-round by people in the community. So It's come a long way from being an open shelter. It's come a long way. The reason it has the name of Covington Shelter, it was built by the descendants of my husband's grandfather, his grandfather's two brothers, who all had lived in the community at one time. All of them were deceased at that point, but they had lived here. And the committee just started by writing a letter to all the descendants and raising the money. And that's how the first shelter was built, the first original. Since then, anything else that's been done, improvements and things, have been done by Hawfields Civitan.
Why did you put it down there? Was it donated land?
No, it was just on part of the church land that was
Right.
leased, and we already had that land that was leased, and it was approved by the session that it could be built down there.
Okay.
So we built that down there. Now we have added a metal building down there, which we use for our maze for our haunted forest, which is a fundraiser. And we have recently added 2 storage units to house the football equipment, because it takes a lot of equipment for football, as you will probably know, any sport. And we've added those to give some space. But it's just one building, 20 feet by 60 feet, I think is what the size of it is.
And what is the forestry behind the building? Obviously, it's used for the haunted forest, but even beyond that, is that hunting grounds?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just Civitan just uses it basically for the haunted forest, which is a fundraiser. And
Okay.
Civitan is like a service organization, and we raise money, but then we give it all away. We do money to
Okay.
help people, and so no, it's not used for any hunting. I mean, unless somebody asks permission from the church,
Yeah.
we don't grant any hunting or anything on there.
Okay. Even beyond the woods, like that open area? Okay.
No, we
Because
don't.
I've heard of people hunting down
We don't
there.
give anybody permission. If they do it, they do
Yeah.
it on their own illegally,
Mhm.
or they ask the church permission. The only thing
Okay.
we have allowed was the field itself. There's a gentleman that lives right across the road, and he's a member of a senior archery group, and we let them have an archery tournament, a senior archery tournament. But it's on the field sometime in the spring before our ball season starts, like March. And
Okay.
we let them do that, but other than that, it's really too much liability now. We have to carry liability insurance, and it's heavy. The insurance is
Yeah.
heavy and expensive,
Mhm.
and it's just too much liability to try to do anything else other on it. And now that these new industries back there have come in, they've kind of encroached upon the territory, so there's not as much woods back there
Yeah.
as there used to be.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how far the church's land goes back there. I know it goes back in behind the manse where David and them live, but I'm not sure exactly where the line is there between that and somebody else's land.
Okay. I'm just curious. The baseball field, did it always have like 0 trees over there, or were there trees that you had to cut down?
It didn't have too much trees. It was tilled land,
Yeah.
and somebody raised corn on it.
Okay.
So it was pretty much not too many trees. Might have been 1 or 2, 3, 4 trees scattered around, but basically it was like an open field that you farmed. And so I don't know who rented it. Somebody rented it and raised corn on it.
Okay. I'll have to look that up. Let's see. You may not know this off the top of your head, but how large is the building?
The building is, I'm pretty sure it's 20 feet wide and 60 long. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So it's a pretty good sized building.
Yeah.
You can put tables and chairs and seat about 200 people. And that's about the limit, about the limit of what you can do in there.
Okay.
And it's used a lot. Since we have the lease agreement with the church, it has a no alcohol policy, and the Civitans adopted a no smoking policy. So we have those two things in place, and that pretty well protects the building. You don't have a lot of riffraff and a lot of parties, drinking parties, and whatever there. And so we specify that specifically to people that want to use the building, that we have a no alcohol policy and a no smoking policy. And the no smoking policy is just so people that, like me, who have asthma, don't have to breathe somebody else's smoke.
Correct. I have asthma too.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not fun either, is it?
Do you know of any trails in the haunted forests that the natives use?
Native Indians?
Yes.
No, I don't know of any. There probably may have been some back there, but I'm not much for rambling around in the woods except in the wintertime. I used to go with my father, and we'd go, looking for squirrels or rabbits or something like that. And where I lived, there wasn't any deer there at the time, so we didn't have them. But I'm not much for rambling around in the woods, and so there probably are some, but I'm not aware of them.
Okay. Is there any deer back there?
Probably so. I hadn't seen them, but there probably are.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it looked to start with. It was all that was open.
Ah.
It's all been closed in.
Yeah.
And that's the way it looked inside. It had the high beams up there. Mm-hmm. We lowered the ceilings because we knew we couldn't, heat rises, and we knew we couldn't heat the whole thing, so we put a ceiling in it. It has a ceiling in it now, which is still pretty high, but not that high.
Okay.
It was just basically a rustic building. It still is a rustic looking building, but that was the back of it, going toward the ball field.
Yeah.
And we recently restained the outside because with weather, and that's the way it looked at its beginning.
Okay.
So it's come a long way. In 40 years, be 40 years. We're getting ready to put a new roof on it. It's had the original roof, and it's had another roof, and we're getting ready to put a new roof on it to the tune of about $8,000. But it's used by a lot of people, and so I reckon I guess it's an asset to the community because it is used by a lot of people for not only for Christmas but for birthdays and just general, everyday family gathering. Because not many people, if they've got a big family, not many people have room in the house anymore for a great big group of family, and so they'll, be willing to pay a little rent to get a larger building or a larger place.
Okay. I know you do Operation Christmas Child and other stuff like that, so can you tell me more of the volunteering aspect of what you do?
Well, let's see. I've always been a mission-minded person. I like mission kind of projects, and the Operation Christmas Child came about as a mission project through the Presbyterian Women. And also we did, this year, we filled hygiene kits for the Presbyterian Disaster Assistance, and they go to places where they have natural disasters, floods, earthquakes, and things, and they're basic hygiene kits like toothbrush, toothpaste, bath cloth, soap, towel, comb, nail clippers, maybe some, I think we had 6 Band-Aids or something, 10 Band-Aids in each one, just things that you would need if you were out somewhere. Those are our big things, but I've done a lot of other stuff over the 50 years. I've forgotten a lot of it that I've done, but it's been interesting and it's been fun.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you done Operation Christmas Child?
Operation Christmas Child has been about 15 years or more. Mm-hmm. We're going to change this next year and do something different. Right now I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do. Not that that's not a good project, because it is a good project, And it not only provides some basic things for children who don't have anything, but it also is a way to teach them about Jesus. It's a wonderful project, but we decided we'd try to do something different so it wouldn't be the same old, same old, same old every year. Don't know yet exactly which way we're going. There is an Indian reservation in, I think it's either North Dakota or South Dakota. It's the poorest section of the United States, and they related on internet to a third world country, like an African country or whatever. And there's a group out of Kingsport, Tennessee, and they run a train up through there in November with gifts for children. We might do that. I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to pick up another project in addition to the Operation Christmas Child shoebox. And everybody, I think, likes fixing the shoeboxes, and so we might do the shoeboxes for the children in this Indian reservation. I don't know exactly what we're going to do yet. Because we have a women's council, and I'm going to let them help decide what to do.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the history of who owned the Covington shelter land?
The church owned it. Now, who owned it before the church, I'm not really sure. But at the time, the Civitan leased 60 acres, and I'm not good on acres, how much is an acre, or how big it, I can't visualize it. I know it's so many thousand feet, but I can't visualize what it is. But I think there's 60 acres of land, including the ball field and back there, that's leased. But now that the daycare is up there, I'm not sure whether we still have 60 acres or not. And it belonged to the church at the time when we leased it from there. And the time when I came to the church in 1959, it belonged to the church. But now who owned it before that, I'm not sure exactly who owned it.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to tell me about?
Well, I don't know. I like being a volunteer. I've enjoyed volunteering, whether it was teaching Sunday school, because I like doing things for other people to try to make their life a little bit better, regardless of whether it's fixing a shoebox or, whatever, cooking something to take into somebody's house. And I just like to do that. So I just enjoy being a volunteer. And I've been, I guess, lucky that I had a family that supported me to do that, and I could do it. So that's basically how I've spent my life as a volunteer. I did work away from home for 13 and a half years when I was much younger than I am right now. But then I stopped working, and since then I just went and I did some volunteer work at school, at the middle school, trying to listen to children that couldn't read and help them learn how to read better. I did that for a while, and I've done different kinds of volunteer work. But a lot of it has been through, some of it's been just because I wanted to do it, but a lot of it has been through the church and through the Civitan Club. Right now I am, our Civitan district takes in clubs from High Point all the way to the coast eastward. And right now I'm the chairperson for Boys and Girls Homes for our district, Civitan. And Boys and Girls Homes is similar to Elon, but it's at Lake Waccamaw down east. And they have children there who have been abused, neglected, who come live there for a while. Some of them live there a long time. Some of them don't live there, but 8 or 10 months. Just depends on when they can find a relative or somebody that will take them, or some of them get adopted, or various other things. And I enjoy doing that because I don't like the fact that children have to live in some of the conditions that they have to live in. And I like to do something to help them. And I just finished, we do a big Christmas thing, project. I get clubs in my district to sponsor a child for Christmas, and that's $250, or an individual can do that too. And I always sponsor one. I always enjoy doing that. And then we have clubs that do parties, because we have a Civitan cottage there that right now girls are in it. Boys haven't been in it, but girls living in it now. And we have clubs that do things for the cottage, and fix gift bags for the girls. And this year our Civitan Club did another project for the Boys and Girls Home, but they have a foster care program there. They call it community-based program. And they have about 150 children in their foster care programs, and they have better support than counties do because they have more people to work and we made 150 little cloth bears about 12 inches high for the children in the foster care program. We made one for each one of those. And that was a right big project. One of the members sewed them all, left a little opening at the bottom, and we had to turn them, and then we had to stuff them with fiberfill and then sew them up at the bottom after we got them stuffed. So it was fun. We met 2 or 3 times at somebody's house and stuffed bears and sewed up bears, and it was a fun project. So I enjoyed doing those kinds of things. So I spent a lot of time with volunteer work. I spent a lot of time teaching Sunday school because teaching adults, you have to pretty much be on your toes. You can fake it sometime otherwise, but you can't do too much faking with adults. And so we just finished the book of Matthew, and we do different things. But it takes me a lot of time to study to get ready for my lesson. So, and I teach every Sunday, so it's unless I'm gone, I'm pretty much committed to every Sunday. So I spend a lot of time working on my Sunday school lesson.
I have to keep doing it.
Okay.
But let's see.
Do you have anything else you'd like to know? Because I don't know exactly what you need to know.
I just want to know like more about your involvement with the church. So
Well,
you can talk about anything.
Through my 50-some years, I've been involved in various things. For a long time, I sang in the choir. I taught Sunday school, and one year I taught, well, about 4 years I taught junior high youth, and that was I really enjoyed that. That was a real enjoyable thing. We were down at that very end room, and we had about 10 or 12 youth in there. They're all grown, and I'm trying to think if any of them still belong to the church here. I don't think they do. I think they're all gone to, in various locations. But I really enjoyed that, and I worked with junior choir. From time to time we've had a junior choir, and I've worked with that. And I don't know that I can say I enjoyed one more than others. I did enjoy that youth group, though, those 4 years. Of course, I was much younger than I am now, and they were like, what's junior high, 12, 13, 14?
Mm-hmm.
That was a good age to work with. It was interesting.
Yeah. And can you tell me how you got into volunteering? Was there any specific person that got you into it?
No, there have been some specific people that have asked me to do things. Like there was a man asked me to be on the Salvation Army board. But at the time, I just had more than I could do, and I could not take it on, so I had to turn it down. And I've turned down several other things, but I've been on the Women's Council for not only this church, but for the Presbytery, which now is a big one. It takes in now from Hillsborough to Boone. Wasn't quite that big at that particular time. It was called Orange Presbytery, and I really enjoyed that because I worked with a lot of fine Christian women from various other locations, churches and things, and I enjoyed that. I did that for about, I guess, maybe 5 or 6 years. Most of those I was what they call White Cross Chair, and I coordinated projects for mission hospitals, for our Presbyterian mission hospitals. But they do something different now. They don't do it that way anymore, so I really enjoyed that. And I really don't know how I got into volunteerism. I reckon when I first quit teaching school myself, my boys were at Woodlawn. And at the time, it was all just one big old open building. And the principal asked me, and I guess I did some volunteer work at South Mebane too. Maybe when the boys were, I guess that's where I started, when the boys were in the 2nd, 3rd grade out at South Mebane School. I guess I started helping the teacher do things out there. And I helped one teacher with, I go just do some fun songs with the children because they didn't have a music teacher and they didn't have a music program at the school at the time. And that was a fun thing to do because I liked it. I'm not a great musician, but I still like to do that. Then I volunteered when the son was in the band. I did that, and the son played football, and I did volunteer with the boosters. And I had a dream the other night, and I was in the auditorium at Eastern High School. Why in the world I had that dream, I don't know, except I spent part of my life at Eastern High School. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the elementary school and the middle school too. But it was working at the middle school was frustrating, but it was also a challenge because there were kids there that were reading on like second and third grade level, and they were in sixth and seventh and eighth grade, and it was kind of a challenge to see could I help them any. You know, I don't know if I helped them any or not. I tried, but I don't really know if I did or not. Because if you get that far and you can't read, you about got to start over. But I've done a little bit of everything, just, you know. And I've enjoyed all of it. I try to do some different things. Right now, I am missions chair for the Presbyterian Women, and I do a lot of work through that. And I try to support all the other projects and things, even though I don't work directly with them. I try to support all the youth projects and, you know, different projects of the church, even though I'm not directly working with them per se. And I'm chairman right now of music and worship for planning things for the worship services, but I'm fixing to become just a member. And Caroline Covington Massey's going to take that over as the chairperson. I sort of inherited that because the person that was doing it quit, and I was kind of asked to take it over. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of took it over. I thought about it a long time, and I thought, not any reason why I really can't do it. May not be something that I'm that fully interested in, but I can do it. So I've been doing that this calendar year. Well, most of this calendar year. I think I started maybe about February. And I've learned a lot. So, you know, you never get too old to learn something.
And I always ask for the last question for my interviewees, any advice, and since you're such a good volunteer, maybe talk about why you should volunteer.
I think volunteers are usually happier people because they give something of themselves. And, you know, you can give money or whatever, but until you really give something of yourself and do something for somebody and touch somebody else's life, I think you miss a lot in life. And people that don't volunteer probably would disagree with me. They probably would say they're having fun doing what they're doing. You know, they're going dancing or they're doing this and that and the other. But I still think you miss a lot in life if you don't. You're not in life by yourself. And I think you miss a lot if you don't reach out and touch somebody else's life. And sometimes it's to make their life happier or better, or, you know, and sometimes volunteering, people have an idea that it takes a lot of time. Some things do, but some things don't. And I feel like you can always give a smile to somebody or a pat on the back to somebody, you know, that sort of thing. And that's, in a sense, that's being a volunteer. Because it's, and I think Jesus mandated that really for us in the Bible, if we really believe what Jesus said for us to do. I think that's what we're supposed to do. I think we're supposed to help other people. And I guess that's the reason I like it. I've just always done it. And I grew up in a family who volunteered and did things for other people too. And I think if you grew up in a family like that, it's easier for you to do it when you become a young person or an older person than it is if you just start in cold turkey and you never have volunteered. You think, why do I need to help that person? You know. But then if you've done that before, it's easier to say, yes, I'd like to be a part of that. I'd like to help that person. Like we're gonna do a project in Civitan, January the 12th. It's called a quarter auction. It's somewhat like a chance thing, like a bingo, but anyway, it's fun. And you use quarters to bid on things. And it's going to be a benefit for a young guy here in the community who's got to have a heart transplant. And so I like doing that. I know the boy anyway. He's probably graduated from Eastern, a couple years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, played football, and his brother played football, and I know him, but he's got just a really bad heart. They said they can't do anything else for him. Mm-hmm. They put in a defibrillator or something. If they said the only thing they can do is do a heart transplant. So I know that's very, very expensive. So I'm gonna participate in that because I want to be able to help him.
Okay, that's good.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're gonna get a picture. And
yeah. And can you make pictures of any of these, or did you want
take
them?
it and
Did you
yeah.
want to make pictures of any of them?
Yes.
Some of them are just people, but some of them show the building, like that one
Yeah.
is outside, and then these I'll let you do the ones you want.
Okay.
And these were just things that were happening on dedication day. That's the picture of the day we had the dedication.
Okay. I was just gonna sit down for a second.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted me to move.
No, it's fine.
Okay. I thought you wanted me to move.
There you
Okay. So it's gonna get our picture.
go. Uh-huh.
Oh, do you ever think about you might break your camera?
That's right. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right.
So it did it?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
it's just a video. So.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't flash or anything. It's just happening.
Mm-hmm.
Eat holes in it, so we had trouble. So we put a new heating system in them, and we decided to put it on first.
Yeah.
You came to the home first, so you've been through there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can about see where, I think where the tree line ends over there is about where the church property ends.
Right.
And I think that building over there is that new building that's making steel things to put in homes and businesses and stuff, firewalls and things.
Right.
And I think I don't know what else is going to come back there. That's one David's always talking about, the light shining in his bedroom window. And you can see, because right behind it, I can see the lights from my house at night. And that's going to be our new ball field if we ever get it done.
Okay.
Our second ball field.
Right.
And we had to get a lot of field dirt because we had a children's playground there, and at the back of it, it dropped off about, I'd say, 3 foot. So we had to get a lot of field dirt to put in it. And we've been supposed to have had it open for practice, but we hadn't gotten it open yet.
Okay.
The thing about Civitan is it's all volunteers, and we have to wait till, people are doing volunteer.
Yeah. And now that everyone's busy.
Everybody's busy, so you have to wait till they have time to do it. And then the weather's bad now, so you can't do much outside now. Need more light? Bulletin board here, I want to give you the pictures. It shows some of our projects that we do. I don't know whether that's of interest or not. That picture over on the right was working Special Olympics, serving lunch at Special Olympics, and then that's some of the other things that we do.
Scholarship program.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's small, I don't know how well they'll show up.
Okay. Can you tell me about this thing?
Tell you about this?
The
Oh, the banner?
banner. I don't know why I couldn't say that.
Yeah, we've got several more that they took down.
Yeah.
We hang them up. That's an old one that we had. That probably goes back to, you look at the dates on the, if they have dates on them.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, this was the Civitan logo. They have since changed it back. They got them all. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We had to do a update on our electrical work too a couple years back. It's getting our
Right.
our things were getting full. Our that's the one, the transformer, whatever it was. It is electrical work. It's getting too overloaded, and we had to do some new electrical work.
Can I get a picture of you just standing there?
Yeah.
All right.
How about the logo?
All right. All right.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Meow. Meow. No. Hey, I have locked myself out of the church.